We said today that we'll be going into spiritual warfare. All right. And we're going to attack this from a few different angles. First off, we're going to look at and examine the fact that we are in a war in this earth as people of God, physically and spiritually. We're going to show you that. Of course, after the class, a few hours later, around 2 o'clock, if you want to come into the law class, Elder and Brother Gabar in New York will be overseeing that particular class. You can come to the same site and be a part of that class. Last week was a real good class he was teaching, and he'll continue to go into different parts of the law. Okay? So the way we're going to attack this is I will primarily stick with the modern day understanding of what's going on and the times and what's happening within the earth to keep us current. And we'll have Gabar going into different attributes of the law on the Sabbath so that brothers and sisters can have that content. Because we're in a time where the scriptures say we must watch as well as pray. Now, going into spiritual warfare, in order for you to understand that it's spiritual warfare, we must first understand that we're in a war. We were born into a war. Now, you would have some people out there look at what we know as a war and come up with certain theories or ask certain questions in the spirit of unbelief, like one war is these nations or people are teaching now that the Most High don't exist, or if the Most High did exist, why do he allow such atrocities and evils to happen on the earth? Okay, if this is an all-loving God, why is his will not being done within the earth? And why he's allowing such death, hatred, and chaos to operate amongst his world? Now, if you are an unbeliever, that's enough excuse for you not to even think about following the Most High. But if you are a person who is searching for the Most High or want to believe, you need answers to this particular situation, this particular issue. You want to follow an all-loving and all-seeing God because you don't understand how he allows such chaos and evil if by just a thought he can change it overnight. No, I want you focusing on the class. All right? I'm not going to say it again. Okay? All right. So, how is it that there's a God who could change everything with just a thought, allowing evil, wickedness, downright total hatred and destruction, genocide on his planet? Now, this is what the atheists use to claim that there is no God. But from our standpoint as believers, I will also prove today that because these things are happening, proves that there is a God. And his will is being done in the earth. See, the reason people are questioning God when it comes to the destruction and the evils of the earth is because they were taught in church that God is an all-loving God, and that the Most High loves everybody equally, and that he has the whole world in his hands, and this is the world he made. You understand? So the confusion is, well, if this is an all-loving God that loves all people, why is he allowing such destruction and hatred to go down in the earth? You come to find out that the God they're teaching in the churches, in your institutions, and in these religious places of learning are not teaching about the true God. And that's a big deception on the whole earth. There's a reason the earth is in the state it's in, and there's a reason there's a war. Get Exodus 15 and 3.
Exodus chapter 15, verse 3. The Lord is a man of war.
Read it again.
The Lord is a man of war.
Read it again.
The Lord is a man of war.
Read.
The Lord is his name.
And the Lord is his name. When we say Shema Yasha'Allah Ahaya Allahaya Nawa Akkad, that's Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one. His name is Ahaya. He's our Lord. His name is Ahaya. Alright? Now, when you see Exodus 15 and 3, it tells us that the Most High is a man of war. So they're not teaching you this in the churches or in mainstream religion. They're not letting you know that the Most High, number one, he's a man. When it says man, he's not a physical man within the earth, but man was made in his image. So what you see from a man image is the image of the Creator before man was created. Hope you understand that. Man is not the originator. We are the image of our God. So you got a male and female attribute in creation. You have the Most High, Ahaya, and you have the Holy Spirit, which is the feminine that came out of the Most High. So the Most High is a man of war. Now, some people might ask, because we teach according to the Bible who the children of Israel are in the earth, why will he allow 90% of his people to be destroyed? Why, through all Israel's existence, we've only had 40 years of peace? Why have he allowed the other nations to rule over us? Why is he allowing our people to be destroyed through vaccination programs, eugenics? Why is it that the people who are so strong have become spiritual cowards when it comes to protecting themselves? What spirit is on such a strong people not to stand in the last days, when really these people outnumber all the people in the earth? We're gonna show you about this spiritual warfare. Let's get Baruch 3 and 8 out of the Apocrypha first. Baruch, the 3rd chapter and the 8th verse. We're going to see if we can answer the question to some of these whys. Why is the Most High allowing this in the earth today? Read Baruch 3 and 8, Brother Mark.
Baruch chapter 3 verse 8.
You got to project so that they can hear you.
Baruch 3 and 8.
You got to project so they can hear you.
Baruch 3 and 8. Behold, we are yet this day in our captivity.
Read it again.
Behold, we are yet this day in our captivity.
We as God's people are yet this day in captivity. Now, why I'm bringing this out when it comes to spiritual war? In order to understand the war, you must first know that you're in a war. If you don't understand what your position is in the earth, your fighting will not be directed aright. You first must know that you are a slave. Okay? So therefore, you can operate from a vantage point of a slave. The example I can give on that, when we were shackled, when we built the plantation housing for the European conquerors, while we were sleeping in shacks, when we were running away to the north to try to free ourselves from captivity, when they was putting muzzles over our head and chaining us hand and feet, there was no question from those slaves that were living during that time that they were in captivity. They didn't need someone to come and say, yo, you're a slave. It was evident that they were slaves. But Baruch says right here in 3 and 8, you are yet this day in your captivity, so that you cannot start thinking from a free state of mind. And see, and this is what the Western world does. Through campaigning and media and psychology, they have trained you into believing that you were ever set free. You've been trained to believe that. Therefore, you're not looking to break free from your captivity because you already are free. See that reverse psychology, that Jedi mind trick they've played on the world? So now that you're free, you're not looking for anything better because you're already free. But understand you're in a war, and it says in Baruch 3 and 8, you are yet this day in your captivity. You must understand that in this war. You can't get comfortable like it says in the Old Testament about Jezreel have gotten fat and eaten and have sat back and kicked. We have stopped fighting because somewhere along the line of our captivity, we started believing we were free. We are yet this day in our captivity. Read.
Where thou hast scattered us for a reproach.
Where the Most High hath scattered us. Read.
For a reproach.
For a reproach.
And a curse.
And a curse. We are a reproach and a curse in this earth, which means we are like orphans. We're not accepted in the earth. We're tolerated. We're not accepted. We are a reproach. That's how you know you are in captivity. When you are scattered throughout the earth without a government, without any say of what happens to your people, without any say of what will happen to your people. When you are controlled by Zionists who are behind a eugenics program to eradicate us, and they'll even use us, like they use Barack Obama, to continue to enslave us. That's nothing new. Uncle Tom's always existed within our captivity. Why? Because they've learned us. And we're more ready to accept the captivity if somebody we respect accepts it. Nonetheless, it's the same captivity because we've been scattered. We're looking for a homeland. We have no homeland. So we're here to give our people a dose of reality based on our current condition. Read.
And to be subject to payments.
And be subject to what?
To payments.
If you don't think you're a slave, stop paying your bills. See, you have to realize the deception of debt. You have to realize when you read the Old Testament, that's why your Christians don't want you reading the Old Testament, is that debt was a law based on owing. So if someone owed you, they were indentured to you to serve until the payment was complete. That's in the Bible. But it was a lawful servitude. All right? So, And after 7 years, the year of Jubilee, an Israelite could not hold another person past 7 years of debt. Why? Because men originally was born to be free. But if they did a wrong, or if they loaned or borrowed from you and agreed to pay it through servitude, that's where so-called the mentality of slavery came into place. But really, it was not meant for a man to serve another man. These are curses, brothers and sisters. If you are subject to payment and have accrued debt, and you're dealing with the people who are not dealing with the law of Moses, because in the Torah, your debt is paid in full after 7 years of servitude. But these people who are ruling the earth, who claim to be the Jews, have the whole earth in debt, and you die in debt, and the debt is left to your children. That's a slave, brothers and sisters. If you don't think you are a slave, stop paying your bill. Because I'll tell you, energy is free. The sun is free. I don't know anyone in the earth that wouldn't work in these electric plants and these other plants that are actually generating electricity if they could have debt-free living. People would just go to work and work there just to make sure they have to pay for anything. It doesn't cost anything for the trees to grow that allow your foundation to be placed in your houses. It costs nothing for the sand that make your glasses, that your window panes in your house. These things are delivered to you by the Most High, because the earth was made to serve us. Now they have you paying for the earth. Slavery. And then they rationalize it with these Masons who are programmed within this, what you would call, democratic system, to make you think, oh yeah, slavery is good. Slavery is fine. This is the way you're supposed to be a slave. You are a slave, brothers and sisters. They're talking about the debt ceiling right now. What debt ceiling? Bernanke or you Jewish powers who are ruling? According to your law, Jewish people, we're not supposed to have a debt past 7 years. Shouldn't you absolve the whole earth of their debt now? Since the Federal Reserve was made in 1913, that's longer than 7 years. They're playing on your ignorance. They make you think you should pay for what the earth gave us for free. And make you think you're shiftless and lazy if you don't want to deal with their debt. When the earth was made to serve us, you're not supposed to work 8 and 10 hours just to be able to live. That's not freedom. That's captivity. Read.
According to all the iniquities of our fathers.
And we're in this because of these sins of our fathers. See, they had to take the knowledge of us being Hebrews and Israel from us. Because no way they would have been able to pull the Constitution over on those who understood the most awesome Constitution that have ever been drafted. The Torah. So they had to take that information from us, because this is the information, the laws of God, that actually circumvent the laws of all the earth. We know what's right or wrong based on the laws contained in the Torah. So they had to take that knowledge from us. They had to take the fact that we were Israel from us so that we can accept a new law and embrace it as freedom. A law that was drafted while we were slaves. Boy, what a game. Man, when you sit back and think of how they did this, Satan had to have been at this table. Let's take their identity. A matter of fact, this is what we're going to do. And I know they was laughing and joking with it. We're going to take their identity and we're going to give it to the people that are actually killing and destroying the world. We're going to tell them that the slave masters are the Jews. How you like that? And see, these people are dumb. They'll accept it. Give them pork rinds. Give them pig behind to eat. They'll accept it. This is what they do. And you see, I'm being a little facetious, but this is how these people operate. And this is what they think of us. What's that? Anything good? Okay. Read.
According to all the iniquities of our fathers, which departed from the Most High our power, hear, Israel, the commandments of life.
Read that again. A little louder so they can hear you.
Hear, Israel, the commandments of life.
Hear, Israel, the commandments of life. Read.
Give ear to understand wisdom. How happeneth it, Israel, that thou art in thine enemy's land?
So it says, Israel, think about this. How is it that you turned up in your enemy's land? Some people want to know, well, why would the Most High allow this to happen to such a great people? The Most High did this so we could consider our current state. How happened it that you end up someplace else under a people who are clearly out of their minds? How is it that I put you up under these crazy people? And yes, these people that are ruling the earth are out of their minds. There's places you can go at in China and get baby soup. The baby's sitting there in the soup. There's places you can go to in America. You can go to Amsterdam and just go freely go and purchase a 2 and 3 year old little girl or little boy to deal with. There's places you can go in America where they're doing smut films, where they're doing all types of Jewish pornography. I'm going to name it like it is because they are the creators of it. Jewish pornography in which they're snuffing people and killing them in the movie and selling it to all the high elites because this is what they like, blood and death. These are the people who are actually smiling before the cameras telling you that, you know, they're good politicians. I seen something the other day, the maker of the movie Eyes Wide Shut, in which Tom Cruise and his ex-wife Nicole Kidman played it, in which they had a part of the film where it shows the sadistic rituals of them actually doing all types of satanic pornography, and they come into these secret places with masks and doing these satanic rituals and these sexual rituals. He was told to cut that 5 minutes out of the film and didn't do it, and they killed this guy because he wanted to expose to some degree what our elected officials are doing within the earth. These people are crazy. Why would the Most High allow these crazy people out of their minds to rule over you? Why? Read.
That thou art waxen old in a strange country.
Why are we waxing old in a strange country? Why do we live and die in slavery? See, they try to turn this around, these sadistic, satanic. Give me the fools in their heart says no God in Proverbs. Proverbs 13. Psalm 13. Read that. They try to sit back and they use our captivity to say that there is no God. But based on everything that's happening to us, there must be a God. What God would allow you to go through slavery? The God that said we would go into slavery in Deuteronomy 28. That's what God. Finish reading what you have in Baruch. And see, you notice I'm reading out of the Apocrypha here, a book that your church said you shouldn't read. Just believe in Jesus and sow seeds into my ministry. So you got to sow a monetary seed to get into the kingdom of heaven. But don't read that Apocrypha. That's not spiritually inspired. Just sow a seed. Read.
That thou art defiled with the dead, that thou art counted with them that go down into the grave.
Read it a little louder so they can hear you. Project.
Baruch chapter 3 verse 11, that thou art counted with them that go down into the grave.
Why are we counted to them which go down to the grave? That means we're counted for those who are busting hell wide open. We're starting to do what the other nations are doing. You would think that a people who were enslaved and taken advantage of by the European Idumean powers would not be following them to hell. Will not be following the governments that have enslaved us into hell. Read.
Psalms chapter 14, verse 1.
I want you to hold that. I'm going to read that real quick.
Verse 12, thou hast forsaken the fountain of wisdom, for if thou hast walked in the way of the Most High.
It says we have forsaken the mountain of wisdom, for we have walked in the ways of God. Read.
Thou shouldest have dwelled in peace forever.
We would have what?
Dwelled in peace forever.
We would have dwelled in peace forever. That proves that our condition shouldn't be. That proves it right there. There is provisions with the Most High. He's not just going to give you everything for the sake of giving it to you because he loves you. We must first show our love for him. That's common sense. We must prove that we belong in this eternal peace. Now that's common sense. One moment. Okay. Read on in Baruch.
Verse 14, learn where is wisdom, where is strength, where is understanding, that thou mayest know also where is length of days and life, where is the light of the eyes and peace. Who have found out her place, or who have come into her treasures? Where are the princes of the heathen become, and such as rules the beasts upon the earth? They that have their pastime with the fowls of the air, and they that hoard up silver and gold, wherein men trust. And
it says, look at all the heathens who hoard up and hold silver and gold wherein men trust. Read.
And made no end of their getting.
And make no end of their getting. A lot of people out there have made chasing money their God. Why? You learn that from the heathen. Well, let me store up some silver and gold. Silver and gold is not going to help you in this time. It's not going to help you. Read.
For they went through in silver, for they that wrought in silver and were so careful, and whose works are unsearchable, they are vanished and gone down to the grave, and others are come up in their stead.
So now the same people who were striving for the money have died, and others have come up in their stead, chasing money. It's a never-ending cycle. Read.
Young men have seen light and dwelt upon the earth, but the way of knowledge have they not known.
You have many people who have seen light, but the way of knowledge they have not known. Look at our foreparents who went through captivity, lived and died not knowing that they were actually the children of Israel. And I'm going to tell you, it's funny, it's kind of hilarious looking at the other nations now. Now that we have found out we're Israel, you have nations now trying to take that back from us. So that now we can give more excuse for the Jewish people being Israel over there. It's utterly ridiculous. You even have Edomites now who are saying we're Ephraim. Chester do the same thing the Jewish people did. Total madness. I don't want to go into that, but let's go. Read.
Verse 21. Nor understood the paths thereof, nor laid hold of it. Their children were far off from that way. It hath not been heard of in Canaan, neither have it been seen in Theman. The Agarians that seek wisdom upon earth, the merchants of Meran and of Theman, the authors of fables, and searchers out.
He says they're the author of what?
The authors of fables.
All these people who are controlling the earth now, they're the authors of fables. What fables? Evolution, the Big Bang, the fables that, God really don't exist and we evolved from absolutely nothing. Fables. Oh, you all were predisposed to be slaves. You were swinging from trees with dirt on you, and we civilized you. Fables. Fables. You people are genetically predisposed to be, you're dumb. Your brains don't grow as big as us. Now, for those who believe science, at one time, that was a scientific fact in the scientist community in the 17 and 1800s. If you went against that, you was going against science. For you people who believe in science. But these are fables to further enslave the children of Israel throughout this earth. Read.
And searches out of understanding. None of these have known the way of wisdom.
None of these have known the way of wisdom. That means we have children running the earth. Read.
Or remembered her paths.
Or remembered her paths. Let's get another fable. Talking about this, the nations are now saying there is no God. And I'm going to show you why we're bringing this up in this spiritual war. Read Psalms 13, 14 and 1. Read it.
Psalms chapter 14 verse 1.
Read it.
The fool hath said in his heart, there is no God.
The fool have said in his heart, what?
There is no God.
There is no God. Now, you can see that this has been meticulously planned as a campaign against not only God, but His creation, and His people. A fool in his heart say, there is no God. These are fools. Now, mind you, the only people that are actually promoting this are those that are behind the evils and ills and the demoralization of the earth. You think it's a coincidence that the majority of homosexuals out there are now saying, questioning whether or not God exists? I don't believe in God. Why? Because God don't agree with your lifestyle. You notice that the majority of homosexuals believe in evolution and all the fables? That was the plan the whole time, to attack the image of the Most High and to attack God's people. Do you notice that all these people that are being placed in what we would call high influential positions are now homosexuals who are against the image of the Most High? Romans 1 tell you that they are reprobate, which means they hate God. So if they hate God, they're going to attack God's people and God's creation. Do you notice your caseworkers and your social workers are all homosexuals now, and your principals are homosexuals that are controlling your children, that are taking your children from the home? Why? They are emotionally detached. They hate the fact that children might grow up and have a normal life. They're reprobate. These are the people that the eugenics have put in place to war against us. To the point where the homosexuals have even now taken over the civil rights movement. It's a war. These are the people, these fools, who are saying there is no God. These are the people. There is no God. Read it again.
The fool hath said in his heart, there is no God.
The fool hath said in his heart, there is no God. Read.
They are corrupt.
Why do they say this? They are corrupt. Now, here's the difference between God's people through history and the Gentiles who have taught us these ways. Even though our people have done much ills in the earth, even those who have done ills in the past didn't question whether or not there was a God. Our people would never step to those lengths. Even till this day, you have your grandparents would say, listen, don't be cursing God. And you know, they're doing all types of stuff they don't have no business. But they knew not to question whether or not the Most High existed. Not these nations. You got something? Yeah, get it. Romans 4. Romans 4.
Romans chapter 10 verse 1.
Read.
Brethren, my heart's desire and prayer to the Most High for Israel is that they might be saved.
The Most High's prayer, Paul was praying for Israel that they might be saved. Read.
For I bear them record that they have a zeal of the Most High.
See, that's one thing about our people. We're born with the zeal of the Most High. What makes us agnostic or non-believers or question whether or not the Most High exists is the educational system that have infiltrated our children. But before the educational system, we don't question whether or not the Most High exists. It's institutionalized atheism. Why? Because here it is, the atheists are allowed to deal with their belief in the school system and call it science. But it's against the law for you to bring any understanding of your belief within the school system. Now think about that. And I say belief because they try to pass off their belief as science. But you can come back and say, well, hold up, you shouldn't be teaching this in the school because you believe that the Big Bang happened, but you can't prove it. That's a belief. You wasn't there. So the same thing you're saying about us being ridiculous, thinking that a creator could have done something in the beginning to create everything, and that we believe that. You're just as crazy if you believe in a Big Bang you can't prove happened because you wasn't there. But it tells you right here, and it tells you clearly in the scriptures. It says here that our people have a zeal of God. That means we want to serve the Most High, but what?
But not according to knowledge.
But we don't know. That's the problem. They took that will or that understanding to know the true God. So our people have a zeal of God, but not according to knowledge, which means normally, if there's no outside influence, the children of Israel are predisposed into believing that there's a God just by living. We know that God exists. See, but the religions play on that and set snares and traps, like it says in the book of Jeremiah and the book of Isaiah. They put snares and traps in front of us so that when we go to look for that God, we fall into their unbelief and their institutions of learning. So, why is it that the Most High have allowed these Gentiles to operate so out of order? Now, the people that are ruling this earth have set up laws against the Most High's laws. And I'm going to show you this. They have set up homosexuals, murderers, killers, thieves. All these people are the controllers of our society. But yet the Most High have not judged them yet. So some of us have lost our patience, so to speak, in this earth with the Most High, because we don't understand why He allowed evil people to operate within the earth while the righteous suffer. Let's go to Baruch 4 and 6. Let's go there. I need you to get Baruch 4 and 6. Matter of fact, you get that, lawyer, Baruch 4 and 6. And I need you to get 2nd Ezra 6 and 12. So in order to understand a spiritual warfare, you must understand first that you're in war. You must know that first. Stop thinking that these people that are ruling over you are for your turn. The court system is not for your turn. If you go to court, eventually they will get you and the person that you're taking to court for tribute. Eventually they're going to get you all. If you're in the court system, they're going to get everybody. And eventually they will grab your children into the system. Now you just invited the government into your house to make a pretext to take your children. Oh, so your children are not getting taken care of, huh? Who's not paying the bills? Okay, so that means that this child, if they don't get what they need, will probably need the state to step in to help them. Is that child vaccinated? It's on and on and on. Then you see some homosexual sitting up in your house, some woman looking like a dude, telling you what should happen up in your house. Like, yo, brother, what you? Oh, that's a sister. Knocking on your door, telling you what should go down in your house. These are the people the government set up. If you don't believe that, look at Janet Napolitano. Before her, Janet Reno. 2 lesbians in a row. The Clinton administration had a lesbian that dealt with the Waco plan to take guns and fight against white libertarians. Then you have Janet Napolitano, a known, and Hillary Clinton also, big time. Why are they putting these reprobate, satanic lesbians and homosexuals over society? We're going to go into that too. That's another piece. But it all comes together. We're in war. We're in war. Read Baruch 4 and 6 out of the Apocrypha.
Baruch chapter 4 verse 6. Ye were sold to the nations, not for your destruction.
We wasn't sold to the nations so that the Most High can destroy us, brothers and sisters. So that's not a reason to turn our backs on the Most High. Why?
But because ye moved the Most High to wrath.
We moved the Most High to do this to us. Time and time again, he was warning us if we didn't stick with him, that he would turn us over to these satanic, sadistic heathens who are ruling the earth today. He warned us. He said, listen, I will stay with you to beat these people down, because if these people ever get up, believe me, you're going to feel sorry for yourself. These people are crazy. The Most High was telling us. They're out of their mind. It's like they're civil lunatics. I mean, they get before the camera, they'll smile at you, they'll look at you, and they, oh yeah, yeah. And it seems the nicest people in the world are killing millions of people. You see it even if you work in the corporate world. I sit and smile, oh yeah, come on, sign the paper. Oh yeah, come on in. Ah yeah, okay, join the team. Ain't nothing but cutthroats and backbiters all in the corporate world. Destroying you, killing you through their corporate structure. And they make you think that you belong, huh? You're moving up. Sadistic, satanic. Sadistic and satanic rulers are over us. They don't care if you know now anyway, because they got the armies. And let me tell you, the more I look into these things, the more sometimes I just don't want to look at anything anymore. It's like, it's never ending with these people. I mean, they found out that Americans are now realizing that the wars are garbage, and that black people are not enrolling into the military, the armed forces like they used to, and that people and minorities and American citizens are saying, nah, I'm not going into these wars. And these sadistic, satanic people are now going into Mexico and Afghanistan and giving these people actual, and their families, citizenship to join the military forces within the United States, flying in all these minorities and all these different people to join their armies so that they can become American citizens to go against us within the country through martial law. I mean, I'm like, these guys, they never ended, they never stop. So because we have woken up like, nah, you recruiters, nah, I'm not joining your armies anymore. They're going to the other countries and giving them citizenship and flying thousands of these people into the United States, joining the armed forces on your army bases, preparing to kill us. These people are relentless. And like I said it before, it's not only us being played, the poor of the whites are being played. They were played back in the 1800s. When here it is, after they so-called freed slavery, the Jewish powers opened the borders to poor immigrants in Europe and gave them land so they can overpopulate and rule the slaves who were becoming free. So here it is, these white people came, thought that, okay, I'm just like the powers that be. I'm dealing with this freedom. But you are only used to buffer us. Now that they have assumed the one world order and the armies and control the armies of the earth, they don't need you either anymore. Now they're doing to you what they did to us. Welcome to the fight. Welcome to the war. The same war we said existed for ages, and you said that we were conspiracy theorists and that these things really didn't exist. But now your pensions will be cut with ours. Your jobs will be lost with ours. Your houses will be taken with ours. So now you're going to need us, because we're used to struggling and we're used to fighting on the bottom. You're not. We're going to just try to keep this today as real as it can be. I don't know how long we're going to be able to do what we're doing. So we're going to cut straight to the chase and give it to you the way it is. The whole earth is going to acknowledge the God of Israel before it's over. We're going to tell you like it is, brothers and sisters. Your gods have forsaken you. Your worships were for nothing. This whole thing is going down. And when it's said and done, we're the people that's going to put this place back together. And I'm not saying that in a proud way. I'm not saying that in a boastful way. It's the truth, brothers and sisters. The Most High have taken us through this struggle so that we can stand in the end and glorify Him, because the nations have the opportunity and they say there is no God. They're not glorifying the Most High. They have everything and they're not glorifying the Most High with it. Finish reading what you have in Baruch.
Baruch chapter 4 verse 6.
Read.
You were sold to the nations, not for your destruction.
And it says we were sold to the Gentiles, not for our destruction, brothers and sisters. And this proves who the people are who bought us. It says we were sold to the nations, but not for our destruction. So if the children of Israel were sold into captivity on auction blocks, then the people who was actually over the slavery cannot be the children of Israel. That's common sense. That's common sense. Now, can they come in through the truth of Christ if they're willing to learn the truth and humble themselves to the truth of Christ and have a place in learning? Absolutely. But the nations are not going to come through and circumvent and take us like they did before. Those days are far gone. Either you get with the program or you stand with this world and fall with this world. Read.
But because you moved the Most High to wrath,
because we moved the Most High to wrath, read.
You were delivered unto the enemies.
We were what?
You were delivered unto the enemies.
We were delivered unto the enemies. Now, understand what it means to say enemies here. These enemies are enemies of the Most High. They're enemies of the Most High. These are people who will not give the credit of their existence to an ultimate creator. They are Luciferians. They follow Satan. They follow the dragon like the Asians do in Asia, following Buddhism or the dragon. They worship creation instead of the creator. And I'll tell you, the powers and the Roman Jewish powers who are over the earth today are the biggest Satanists on earth. How can you control everything, the educational systems and all that, and say that you are the Jews and believe in the Bible and the Torah, but you own and pay for the institutions that teach Darwinism and the unbelief of God? They're being exposed. And for you brothers and sisters out there, I found something out. Okay? And it works fine. They're not the only people who can use the anti-Semitic banner when being attacked. So if any Jewish person go against a black man, you tell them they're being anti-Semitic. I wanted to put that out there. You can use that. And just look at them, look at you like, yeah, listen, you are attacking me. You're anti-Semitic. Okay, put that out there for you. You all can use that one. Because they've been using it for years to stop people from coming against their atrocities and genocide and death on our people. I mean, there's so many things that I wanted to go into. There's so many things I want to hit that it's just, I can't even talk about it all. I want to put this out before we go into it further. I want to say this. Brothers and sisters, I don't know if you remember during the 80s and 90s, when it was being reported with the Watusis and the Tutus and the different, what you would call tribal fightings within Africa. The Tutsis and the Watusis and all those
Rwanda.
in Rwanda, yeah. And they were telling us it was black on black crime. And they was telling us that these were just Africans fighting against each other. They're lying. The same thing they're doing in the Middle East and in Afghanistan under Brzezinski, they did in Africa. They raised these children from a particular country like Africa or Saudi Arabia, and they raised them to become tyrants. They trained them within the CIA and the MI6. And then if you have some rogue killers who are in jail, they give these people full autonomy to be leaders over these children they're raising to start insurrections. And the Western world government give these people guns and weaponry to start up war in a country in Africa to destabilize it. And because they're black people doing it, you think it's tribal or black against black, when it's really an outside influence who trained a black coup to come in to start a war within a country so that they can stop the country from taking advantage of their own resources. They use this all over the earth. A lot of these countries have been training these people in America. Then they would drop them down in Africa and get a coup to go against different people if the African king or prince or governor is against the Western world rule. So they made us think it was just some black fighting going on. And it was the Western world the whole time, setting up coups of Africans that are not even of that country or of that area to start fights and to keep insurrections going so they can bring the solution to chaos. They do this all over the earth, brothers and sisters, and they report it and they spin it to make us think it's black on black crime. Finish reading what you have in Baruch.
Baruch, chapter 4, verse 7.
I had to bring that out. Read.
For ye provoked him that made you by sacrificing unto devils.
And see, the Most High allowed them to do this to us, brothers and sisters, because we started sacrificing unto devils. We started worshiping the demonic and the demonic evil gods of the nations. And the Most High warned us from this. And some of you think that you can get out of your condition by staying under those evil and demonic gods. You have these people still praying to idols in the Catholic Church, still praying to a Caucasian poisoner named Cesar Borgia in the Christian Church, still worshiping an Arab Satanist by the name of Allah in your Arabic or your Arabic churches, which you call mosques. Or worshiping a fat little East Indian by the name of Buddha in the name of Satan. This is why we're in this condition, brothers and sisters. There's always been a war. The war has been their gods, their many gods, against our God. When Lucifer was banished from the heavenly realm, all his hosts became gods to be worshipped in this earth and gave mankind ingenuity, technology, and education to rule within this planet. And told them if they worship them as gods, then they would exalt these nations over God's people. They would put them up over us. We are the payment to them in exchange for them worshiping Lucifer. Now think about that when you go to church. You are a pawn in their game. We are the children of God. We are the children of the Most High. We're suffering these punishments. And don't think that you're suffering because God don't exist. That's what they're teaching you. You're suffering so that you can be chastised like a child and come back to the Most High to reclaim your rightful position as heirs to the promises of Abraham. Read.
Verse 8. Ye have forgotten the everlasting power.
We have what?
Ye have forgotten the everlasting power.
We have forgotten the everlasting God. We forgot Him. If I tell you about Allah, you listen. You ready to tell me everything? Oh yeah, Allah. If I ask you about Buddha, you'll give me a spill on him. But if I ask you, the majority of the people out there, excuse me, you believe in God? They'd be like, well, yeah, I believe there's something out there. Excuse me, what is his name? God got many names. This is what you'll hear. We have forgotten our God, brothers and sisters. But yet we don't equate that to our current state and condition. So how can we get out of this? The first step in understanding how to get out is to know that you're in the condition in the first place. And to know that the curses apply to you. You cannot get a solution through denial. Read.
Ye have forgotten the everlasting power that brought you up.
We have forgotten the everlasting power that brought us up. Read.
And ye have grieved Jerusalem.
And we have grieved our homeland, the mother of us all, Jerusalem. We have grieved her. We have grieved our homeland. So the Most High had to take us off the land because we grieved the very ground we were walking, bringing in the gods of the other nations into the Most High's holy land. Look how defiled it is now. You got these Europeans running all up and down Israel now, defiling the land, sacrificing children, and doing all types of sadistic worships to Satan on holy ground. Read.
That nursed you. For when she saw the wrath of the Most High coming upon you, she said, Hearken, O ye that dwell about Zion, the Most High hath brought upon me great mourning. For I saw the captivity of my sons and daughters, which the everlasting brought upon them. With joy did I nourish them, but sent them away with weeping and mourning.
So the land cried out when they started dragging us out of our land. When the Romans killed us, the land cried. And because of this, Jerusalem have not brought forth her fruit, based on the sins that we have committed and the nations destroying her children. The earth have cried out for her children. But no one is listening. You think you're free in the land of your captivity. But you know what? I thank the Most High that we're at the height of the nation's sin. Because we are living in a time in which the nations are about to show you exactly who they are and who they have been worshiping the whole time. And you will be the proof. The residual effects of this will be total chaos and destruction of those who didn't take heed to the warning in this time. You will be the proof that we should not have listened to these nations from the beginning. You will be the evidence. Those coffins, those body bags are for us. Are for us. And it will be your religious leaders that will lead you to those coffins. That will lead you to those body bags. Read.
Verse 12. Let no man rejoice over me, a widow and forsaken of many, who for the sins of my children am left desolate, because they departed from the law of the Most High.
Because they did what?
because they departed from the law of the Most High.
Because they departed, it says, because they have departed from the laws of the Most High. It says, because they have departed from the laws of the Most High. This is what happened to us as a people, brothers and sisters. Excuse me for switching the camera, but this camera is a little wider so I can get everyone in here. Read.
Verse 14. Excuse me, verse 13. They knew not his statutes, nor walked in the ways of his commandments.
The Most High says we did not know the statutes, neither we walked in the way of his commandments. We didn't follow the commandments of God. Read.
Nor trod in the paths of discipline in his righteousness. Let them that dwell about Zion come. And remember ye the captivity of my sons and daughters, which the everlasting has brought upon them.
And it says, remember the captivity of my sons and daughters, which the nations, with the Most High actually brought upon us by taking the nations and putting them over us. Never forget our captivity. Now they teach you to forget that. And you're like, come on now. You got to learn how to forget. No, you tell those Jewish people who claim that the Holocaust happened to them to forget. You can't enjoy one movie unless it's got a Holocaust scene in it. But yet, we can't forget anything. I mean, we can't remember, excuse me, anything when it comes to what put us in this condition. That's another thing about our captivity. And it won't be the other nations saying this. It'll be our people. Why are you always living in the past? Well, you seem like you always in the past. I mean, that was back then. Now, let's get 2 Ezra 6 and 12. That's it. I want you to Thessalonians, the 5th chapter. Yes, Maccabees. Yeah, Maccabees 6 and 12. I need you to get Thessalonians, the 2nd chapter. So why have the Most High allowed these nations? And how long will he allow these nations to operate? That's a good question. How long? Because I'm going to tell you, you may not believe, but your elites that are controlling this earth, they know 100% that there's a God. 100%. They're teaching unbelief so that you can fall. But they are planning against something coming out of the sky, brothers and sisters. And it's not a comet. Okay? It's not a comet. It's not Planet X. It's not Planet Nubaru. But if they told you what was coming from out of the sky, you would believe. So they must come up with all these. I mean, it's almost science fiction what they're coming out with now. And we are expected to believe this because they're saying it. But they'll laugh at us as we say, well, could that be God? Could that be Christ? Read.
2 Maccabees chapter 6 verse 12.
2 Maccabees 6 and 12. Read it.
Now I beseech those that read this book, that they be not discouraged for these calamities, but that they judge those punishments not to be for destruction, but for a chastening of our nation.
So the Most High is not doing this with our calamities for unbelief. He's doing this and allowing the nations to do this for our chastisement and learning. If we don't learn a lesson in this captivity, it was for nothing. So we have to learn why we are in this condition to fight this war. to be able to be in a mental state to fight this war that's against us. Read.
Verse 13. For it is a token of his great goodness,
It's a token of his great goodness
when wicked doers are not suffered any long time, but forthwith punished. For not as with other nations, whom the Lord patiently forbeareth to punish, till they be come to the fullness of their sins.
So we are a little different than the other nations, brothers and sisters. When we do something, the Most High deal with us almost immediately. But the other nations have received a long rope to hang themselves. He's just letting them go ahead. Because he knows there's a time in which he's going to stop it and judge all their evil. And at that time, they cannot say that they didn't have space for repentance. He gave them a long time to get it together. He even sent Paul to the Gentiles and allowed them to partake of the tree. So no way if these Gentiles who are ruling will have excuse when the Most High put his foot on them. No way. They had much time. But instead of them coming towards the Most High, they showed what they were really made of. They came with Darwinism and unbelief and bringing forth homosexuality and pushing laws of Sodom and Gomorrah, waging war on God's people all around the earth, genocidal practices through science, killing us with vaccinations, killing us with all types of science, psychological warfare against us. They're going to know there's a God very, very soon. Because the Most High allowed them to do this for a time. Read.
But not as with other nations, whom the Most High patiently forbeareth to punish.
The Most High patiently forbears to punish these nations. Read.
Till they be come to the fullness of their sins.
So the Most High had to allow them to operate until they come to the fullness of their sins. Brothers and sisters, we're almost here. He says, as like it was in the days of Sodom and Gomorrah, then shall the coming of the Son of Man be. When you see homosexuality running rapid, know that we're at the end of this war. Listen to what it's saying here. Read.
So dealeth he with us, lest that being come to the height of sin, afterwards he should take vengeance of us.
So the Most High put us in captivity so that we could not go as far as the Gentiles. Because if we would have went that far, he would have had to judge us according to his word. So really, captivity has been our saving grace. Because we were following the nations off a cliff to hell. So he chastised us and put us in captivity to restrict our sin. That's how much he loved us. And he allowed them to keep going. Keep going. Go ahead. Keep on going, Donald Trump. Go ahead, Bill Gates. Keep on going. All right, Bill Clinton. Keep on going. All right, go ahead. But he stopped his people. He said, no. I'd rather you be in captivity and make it and fulfill the promises of Abraham than you to have this earth and die with the nations. Because they're going down. Now, I'm going to tell you, they're going down, brothers and sisters. They will kill a lot of people on the way out, but they're going down. It tell you in the scriptures that if Christ don't return, no flesh would be saved. That's saying any of creation would not exist if Christ didn't come back. These sadistic, satanic people who are over our government and these demons who are ruling them are looking to destroy the image of the Most High and to kill his creation out of the earth. Thank the Most High for Yeshua. Thank him for Yeshua. Because if he didn't come back, none of us would be left, brothers and sisters. That's Matthew 24 and 13. No flesh would be saved if Christ didn't return. Read.
Verse 16. And therefore he never withdraweth his mercy from us.
And he never withdrew his mercy from us. Read.
And though he punish with adversity,
And though he punish us with adversity,
yet doth he never forsake his people.
he never forsake us. Read.
But let this that we have spoken before a warning unto us,
But let this be a warning to us, like it says in Baruch. Read. In Maccabees. Go ahead.
and now will we come to the declaring of the matter in few words. Eleazar, one of the principal scribes, an aged man and of well-favored countenance, was constrained to open his mouth and to eat swine's flesh.
So you had Eleazar who didn't want to open his mouth to eat swine's flesh. Now look at this. See, this is why they took this out of the Bible, brothers and sisters. If you defile your temple by putting in unclean food, it affects your spirit. It allows the nations to actually rule over you with your disobedience. Read.
But he, choosing rather to die gloriously,
Eleazar chose to die first. Read.
than to live stained with such an abomination, spit it forth and came of his own accord to the torment. As it behooved them to come that are resolute to stand out against such things as are not lawful for love of life to be tasted.
I just wanted to prove this because the prophets was talking about this even during the time of the Maccabees. How these nations are forcing us to do things against God. But originally it wasn't so. The Most High is allowing them to do these things to us, so that their sin can come to a fullness and eventually they will be judged. And Eleazar actually took to death because the Greeks were trying to force our nobles and our honorable men to compromise before the people and eat swine's flesh, to mock their God. The nations love when they see us in the supermarket getting pork and pork chops. They love it. Like, look at them. Look at these heathens. Look at it. We eat parts of the pigs the nations don't even eat. This is what they wanted. They wanted us to forsake our God and to forsake the laws of Abraham. This is what they wanted, brothers and sisters. It's a war in every aspect of our life. Our lifestyle, what we eat, our idea of what family is, our idea of what, I see more people defending homosexuals today than actual law-abiding and loving God-fearing people. Let's go to Thessalonians, the second chapter.
2 Thessalonians chapter 2 verse 1.
Read.
Now we beseech you, brethren, by the coming of our Lord Yeshua Christ, and by our gathering together unto him, that ye be not soon shaken in mind.
That we be not soon shaken in mind. Read.
Or be troubled, neither by spirit, nor by word, nor by letter, as from us, as that day of Christ is at hand.
The day of Christ is at hand, brothers and sisters. Read.
Verse 3. Let no man deceive you by any means.
Let no man deceive you by any means.
For that day shall not come, except there be a falling away first.
It says that day will not come unless there be a falling away first. That falling away happened in 70 AD. Don't forget, Paul was writing this before we fell in 70 AD. He was letting those that follow Christ at that time know that Israel must first fulfill the curses and fall away and be scattered according to the prophecies. We must lose Jerusalem. Read.
And that man of sin be revealed.
And that man of sin must be revealed. Read.
The son of perdition.
The son of perdition. Now when it says the son of perdition, we all know who that is. I'm going to prove that. Read.
Verse 4. Who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called the Most High.
He exalteth and imposeth himself above all that is called the Most High. So you got a people in the earth that exalt themselves over God's people. They're over the Most High's people. Read.
So that he as the Most High sitteth in the temple of the Most High.
Now they're over there in Jerusalem. They're in Israel. Read.
Showing himself that he is the Most High.
Now they're claiming that they are the Most High. Read.
Verse 5. Remember ye not that when I was yet with you, I told you these things. And know ye now that withholdeth, that he might be revealed in his time. For the mystery of iniquity doeth already work.
So here's the clue. Paul is telling us in Thessalonians that the one that must be revealed in the future before Christ returns was already working during his time. So who was in charge during Paul's time? Under what law was the disciples martyred? Under whose law was Christ crucified? The Romans. So they have to be revealed in the end time. So we'll know what people who are actually working with the works of Satan. So now it's being revealed now. Read.
Only he who now letteth will let.
The Most High is allowing them to operate like it says in Maccabees. So you can't use that as an excuse not to follow the Most High because judgment didn't happen when you felt it should happen. There's more things that must be fulfilled before Christ returns. And see, one of the worst signs will be the most hideous on earth, which is the physical genocide that will happen during Jacob's trouble very soon. It's going to do one or two things. It's going to drive God's people closer to the Most High, or you're going to have people run to the other side and curse the Most High like it says in Revelations. But it's here. Read.
For the mystery of iniquity doeth already work.
It was working during Paul's time. So you can't say that it's talking about the Pope going into Jerusalem. That sin and that evil government was operating during the time of Paul. It had nothing to do with the Pope going into Jerusalem, sitting in Jerusalem. They're already sitting in Jerusalem. They've been there since 1948. It's the Idumeans and Khazars, a.k.a. Khazars, but really Romans and Edomites who are ruling in Jerusalem. Read.
Only he who now letteth will let.
Only the Most High will let. Read.
Until he be taken out of the way.
Until he be taken out of the way. So the Most High is going to move him out of the way. Read.
And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth.
And then the Most High will send Christ to consume them himself. So that's not planet X. That's not planet Nubaru. That's not a comet that's coming. That's Christ. That's Christ. Read.
And shall destroy with the brightness of his coming.
And he shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. Read.
Verse 9. Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan.
And we know that his coming is after the working of Satan. The government powers that are ruling the earth are getting their directives from Satan, the fallen one, himself. He's their ruler. He's their God. Read.
with all power and signs and lying wonders.
With all powers and signs and lying wonders. So some people might think, well, hold up. Well, how can they heal in the church? How can they do this in the church? If that ain't Jesus, that ain't God. Listen, Satan is a heavenly luminary that fell from the heavens. Okay? They perform miracles too. So they will have lying wonders. They will have miracles right before you, but it's under Satan. Read.
Verse 10. And with all deceivableness and unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth.
And because there's people out there, no matter what you say to them, they would believe the lies that are taught in this earth. Read.
That they